All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Mark Duncan, and you are in the right place. Let me just confirm that right away. This is 4 Steps to Five-Figure Gifts. My name is Mark Duncan. I am the fund coach. I want to welcome those of you who are watching this webinar live. I'm so excited that you're here. I know it's a short week, and I have a lot to cover in an hour. And so I promise to get to all of it very quickly. I know there are a lot of new folks that have registered for this webinar that may not know me. So my name is Mark Duncan. I have been in the nonprofit space since 1987. I have been in fundraising since 1998. I spent many years in camping in outdoor ministry. I was also in higher education, where I ran a $60 million capital campaign. I was in healthcare fundraising, as well as public media fundraising and K through 12. So I run the gamut. And what I do is I empower nonprofit leaders with the skill and confidence to secure five-figure gifts from wealthy donors. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So thank you all for being here. Hope you're going to get a lot out of this. I have something for you if you stick around to the end. First of all, it's going to be a Q&A at the end of this. But before the Q&A, I do have something I want to show you that I think will be beneficial to you. So if you can, yep, I see people in the chat. Thank you. Welcome everybody that is here. And yes, I have a camping background. And so if you are a camper or camp person, camp leader, camp director, you're going to find this very, very valuable. Okay. All right. So let's get started. First, I want to talk about the importance of wealth screening. Right. So that's going to be something I'm going to talk about when we get to the training. But I want to introduce you to a gentleman by the name of Noah Simon. Noah is from a company called Windfall. Windfall has been a partner of mine for over 2 years now. They offer a wonderful service in terms of wealth screening. And I'm going to bring Noah on right now. And we're going to talk about how valuable wealth screening can be when it comes to securing five-figure gifts. So Noah Simon, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm glad that the folks in the chat are with us. Thank you for being here. Noah, tell us right off the bat about Windfall and what it does and how helpful it can be when it comes to raising big dollars.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mark. It's super exciting to be here and love these types of conversations. And I'll just say that time flies because we've been working together for almost 3 years now.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, which is about
My goodness.
the amount of time that I've been here at Windfall. And prior to Windfall, just by way of introduction, I'm a senior account executive here at Windfall, and so work with organizations that are evaluating our solutions. And prior to being at Windfall, was working with another nonprofit kind of technology focused company, more on kind of the CRM kind of tech side, that have been working with nonprofit organizations for almost 10 years now. And so it's just been a real privilege to work with a variety of different, like you said, you have experience working in higher ed, healthcare, camping, and I've also worked with pretty much every shape and size of nonprofit organization out there. And so here at Windfall, we're focused on helping organizations leverage data and wealth intelligence. And we provide our core product is a wealth trading solution that is helping organizations understand the wealth of their constituency, their donors, their campers' parents, their patients, their alumni. And, there's some unique aspects of what we do here at Windfall. We're not a software company. We truly are a data company and really a data science shop. And so we like to kind of say, we're DaaS, not SaaS, right? Data as a service, not software as a service. And so I know our partnership has been great working together because you're focused more on kind of the art of fundraising, and we're kind of focused on the science of fundraising, bringing in the data science and the data element, and then combining that together to help organizations power their mission. And so, um, our wealth screening solution is focused on understanding the wealth of U.S. households. We provide an unlimited screening capability, and we enrich our wealth data into customer CRM so that they can use it from there to kind of stack rank and prioritize their limited staff time and resources on developing relationships with the right people.
Wonderful. And so, and what you're going to learn a little bit later is how valuable this process is in terms of cutting out a lot of the guesswork. And so, Noah and I, like you said, and I can't believe it's been almost 3 years. We've been working together for almost 3 years. And Windfall is such a strong partner of mine that everybody that I've worked with, almost everybody that I've worked with, has subscribed to Windfall as a service, and it really has enhanced their ability, to raise significant dollars. Noah, if you could just talk a little bit about one of the things I'm going to mention toward the end of this is the wealth analytics report that you provide as part of my program, but also something that you do generally. Talk a little bit about that and how that works.
Yeah. So I think that's another great kind of aspect of our partnership is that we can help organizations understand what does the opportunity look like within their data set, and then make an informed decision on, does it make sense to allocate dollars towards investing in Windfall. And as you said, generally, most organizations have come to find that they don't know everybody in their database. They don't know that they have all of these hidden gems. And so what we offer organizations without any commitment to subscribing to Windfall is we'll provide a free screening of their entire database. We'll generate a summary wealth analytics report, which will show them how many millionaires we've matched to within their data set. And that's really our focus. And I didn't mention that earlier, but we're focused on identifying the precise net worth of the affluent portion of their constituency. And then in addition to net worth, there's other data elements and attributes that we'll uncover and be able to provide back on matched individuals. But this match analysis report kind of serves as a proof of concept and helps organizations understand, okay, does Windfall have data that can truly help us? And so it's I think a great opportunity. One, it's free. There's no commitment. And at the end of the day, if you decide not to move forward with Windfall, it still provides you with valuable insights on the data that's in your data set.
Yeah. And I just want to emphasize something you said, and that is the fact that you're able to identify individuals who have a net worth of $1 million or more. And this is individuals that are in your universe. So those of you out there who have constituents, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, these are the folks that you already know, but you may not know enough to give you the confidence to move forward. And that's what this does. And then if you decide to move forward with Windfall, it's really great. All right, Noah, thank you very much. I'm going to have you back. We're going to bring Noah back for the Q&A. So I appreciate that. Right now, I want to just get right into the training. And that is the 4 steps to 5-figure gifts. That is why you were here. So let's get started talking about that and how important that is to fundraising. First, let me just say that fundraising is a people-driven initiative. It just is, right? People drive philanthropy. If you look at, and this is what you see on your screen here is a screenshot from Giving USA. Giving USA reports all fundraising data for the prior year. So every June of each year, they release this information. And so we're looking at 2022 data. And so in 2022, about $500 million was given to US charities during that time, which means over 70% of all of this money came from individuals, not foundations, not corporations, but actual people. Okay. So when you look at the 64% that came from individuals, and you go down to the 9% from bequests. That is where you get that 70% coming from actual people. So people drive philanthropy. So many of us focus on grants. Nothing, there's anything wrong with grants. Grants are fine. They should be part of an overall fundraising strategy. Some of us focus on events, which require us to get corporate sponsorships. That's fine too, as long as that is part of a comprehensive strategy. Today, we're going to talk about what generates the most revenue in fundraising, and that is from individuals. So let's get started. Number one, so we just learned about wealth screening. And so step one is actually doing a wealth screening, taking a look at the people that are in your database and understanding where there is capacity. So knowing who your wealthy donors are, it is half the battle. It's half the battle. There's no guesswork involved. Once you get a list of people who you know have a capacity of or a net worth of $1 million or more, great place to start. And then there's key criteria that you want to pay attention to as you're doing this wealth screening. And that is link, interest, and ability. Okay. And let's talk about these. So link is really what is the link to your organization? So your donors, your constituents, and these are people that they may have given to you, they may not have, but you may have their information if they're on your mailing list, and they're not donors, they're still constituents of yours. So you're going to look at donors. That's the first place you're going to look. And live bunts and side bunts, for those of you who don't know that lingo, that stands for last year but not this, or some year but not this. So any donors that gave last year but not this year, or some year but not this year, you want to be looking at those folks. That is a link. Another link is alumni. So a lot of camp directors, or if you're from a university and you're here, but I'm talking specifically to camp folks, you should be looking at your alumni, your staff alumni, and your camper alumni. And if you're like me, you're one and the same. You're a camper alumni and a staff alumni of your camp. And so that is a great constituency group to look at. Parents, current and past parents, they're going to be interested in your organization. And I would even go as far as to say grandparents too, if you have that. Board members, you should be obviously looking at your board members. One of the things that I talk about often is making sure that you have 100% participation in giving from your board, but you should also be looking to your board to help you find other people. Okay, so some links could be a link to your board, somebody that knows a board member. That is a fantastic link for you to pursue. And also users of your services. So if you are a site, and you whether it's if you're a church site, then obviously you'll be looking at your churches. If you are not a church site, you're going to be looking at your user groups, making sure you're capturing that data. So anybody that comes to your site or comes to your organization, if you can get their name and their email at least, then you have an opportunity to begin to pursue a relationship with them. In order for them to be screened, though, you need their address, their actual physical home address. And there are fun ways to capture that, through, in terms of getting people to sign up for learning more about your organization. Next is interest. Okay. So what do I mean by that? So link, interest, and ability. This part is the part that is you need to work on. So this is the stuff that you're trying to find out. First of all, how strong is their interest in your mission? What particular aspect of your mission is important to them and that they're interested in, and what program would they may be interested in? Are they interested in facilities? And are they interested in unrestricted? So it doesn't matter, as long as anything that they give is going to support the operations, your day-to-day operations, you're going to find folks who are interested in that as well. But we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment in terms of how you determine that interest. And finally, ability. And that's why the wealth screening is so important, is that we get to find out what their ability is, their capacity to give. And also at a major gift level. If I'm going to ask people in the comments, if you would, uh, if you have a major gift level that is a minimum amount that you use for your organization, let me know what that is in the chat. So if it's $1,000, put that in the chat. If it's $5,000, I'm just curious. And if you don't, I'd like to know, no, we do not have a minimum major gift number. So drop that in the chat if you would. I'd be interested to know. Okay. Now, so okay, 5,000. I see 1,000. Thank you. Anybody else? So if you don't have one, you should. If there's anything you take away from today, if you do not have a specific number that is a minimum number for a major gift, it's really, really important for you to consider. Okay. All right. And then these are the donors and prospects that you're going to be spending your time with. Now, you may look at me and say, well, wait a minute, what about everybody else? That's great. You're still going to solicit everybody else if you're doing direct mail, if you're engaged in Giving Tuesday or any other online giving 24-hour period, or you just do solicitations through email. You are going to continue to do that. But it's going to be really, really important in terms of how you spend your time as a nonprofit leader with people who have capacity. Okay. You're not, and this is not to discount anybody else. You're not going to spend time working and developing a relationship with somebody who can only give you $50. Okay. So that's critical. All right. So Hawk says, should you have a different level of major gifts for capital campaign versus annual appeal? So that's a very good question. I think that the answer to that is yes. So usually when you're doing a capital campaign, the goal is larger. I'm just going to pick a number. Let's say the campaign is a $5 million capital campaign over 3 years. Then you're going to make sure that your minimum gift, what your annual fund major gift may be 2,500 or 5,000, but your major gift to the campaign may be 10,000 or 25,000. Okay, so yes, you certainly can differentiate between a capital campaign and an annual campaign. All right, thank you for that question. All right, step 2. So now we've gone from wealth screening and understanding who is in our universe and where there's capacity. Now it's time to engage. It is now time to connect with these potential donors. This is when you secure the first visit, and it should be in person. It should be in person if at all possible. Now, if you've got constituents that are across the country and you have to do it via video, that would be the second best thing. In person is always the best. Second best would be through video. It's all about the connection. If you were asking me this question 4 years ago, I would have told you never to do any solicitation via video. But we know we had an event about 3 years ago that changed everything for us. And so now it is more acceptable to use video conferencing, i.e. Zoom, for a meeting with a donor. But if you can, you really should try to make that visit in person. Next is, and how you go about securing that visit. You want to make phone calls or you want to do it via email. Okay. And one of the things that you're going to learn along the way here is what's the best form of communication for that particular person. Some are going to be more responsive to email. You may not know that right away. So do both, right? Make a phone call, leave a voicemail, let them know who you are. And you're simply going to say, my name is Mark. I'm calling from Camp Johnsonburg, and I just wanted to call and introduce myself, say hello, and I'd love to get together and talk with you about some of the great things that are happening at camp. That may be the phone message that you leave. It also might be the email that you leave as a follow-up. And then in terms of what they respond to, that'll give you a sense of where their preferred mode of communication is. Okay. Your board can and should assist with what I call a warm handoff. So if your board members know people who fit link, interest, and ability, right? Especially if you've done the screening to help them understand that, hey, here are 3 or 4 people that you may know that have capacity. Would you please introduce me to them? Okay. And there's a couple of ways that you can do that. They could do that via email, and they can also uh, do what I call a tag team coffee. Okay, where the board member, you as the nonprofit leader, and the potential donor are all invited to coffee, and then you take the conversation from there. Okay, all right. Now, after we get the board to say, oh, this is really important. If you schedule, I know how busy life gets. I know how busy life gets. It is critical that you do not cancel. Oh, something happened to my video. Give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me. Guys, can you still hear me? Okay, you just can't see my face. Okay, hopefully that will fix itself, I'm hoping. But I'm going to keep going here. Do not cancel. Okay, whatever you do not cancel. All right. So I know life gets busy. It gets super, super busy. And so we may have a tendency, if something comes up, to cancel or try to move it around. Please make this a priority. And if everything else that you have going on, make this a top priority. Okay. And the reason is that you really only get one chance to make a first impression. Okay. Really, really critical. All right. Okay. Uh, Step 3, build rapport. Now you've gotten your first visit, you've locked it in, it's on the calendar, it's on their calendar. And now you can begin the process of building rapport with them. And one other thing I want to say, also about getting on their calendar, when you schedule this first visit, make sure that you send them a calendar request, okay, so that it's on their calendar as well. Okay. Really a minor thing, but because we can't always bank that they're going to get it on their calendar. And if your donor is somebody who is you know, using electronic devices like a smartphone and so forth, because there are some folks out there that are still doing paper, and that's fine. But for those of us who aren't, feel free to make sure you send them that that date. Okay. So basically, this process is you're basically going to date them for a while, right? And you may ask, about how long is a while? As long as necessary. That is the best way to describe it, because every single person and every donor is different. So you're going to do this as long as necessary. When you get this first visit, you begin to build this rapport. You want to make sure that you're doing a lot of listening. Okay. Yes, you're going to talk about your mission and you're going to talk about yourself, but you're going to ask questions, especially if there's somebody who has had experience with your mission. You're going to ask them, about their memories. You're going to ask them about the things that they liked about when they were at camp or worked at camp, or was a user of your services of your organization. So those are going to be critical things that you're going to want to listen to, and you're going to want to make sure that you document those as well. Okay. Then you're also going to tell the story of your mission. Okay. You're going to talk about your organization. And as you're listening, focus on the things that you are hearing that may be important to that prospect. So if that person is talking about one thing and you're talking about spending more time talking about something else, you may lose them. Okay. That's why the listening is so important, because you want to make sure that you're getting that connection. Okay. And then this is that whole, so back to interest, right? The link, interest, and ability. This is when you're focusing on, during out this whole build rapport stage, you're focusing on finding out what's important to them about what you do as an organization. Okay. All right. And then also head versus heart. So what do I mean by that? I'm a firm believer, and I think we're all like this, it's just human nature, that we tend to lean one way or the other when we're making decisions. So when I say head versus heart, I'm talking, are you more of a intellectual, is it the intellectual process that drives decisions for you, or are you more emotionally driven by decisions? So for example, you may be talking to a donor and you may be talking about how well the organization is doing and that you ended the previous 5 years in the black, and you start talking about data, right? And that person really wants to hear the warm and fuzzy about the great things that you're doing and should be listening to, and testimonials or interacting with the people that you serve. That's the difference between head and heart. So you want to learn as you're building rapport, where do they lean? Okay, do they are they more motivated by sort of an intellectual process, or are they more motivated by emotion when it comes to making decisions? Okay, and then this, as you get out of the build rapport stage, you're going to know when you're ready to ask, when they have no more questions for you and you have nothing more to share with them about what you've been focusing on. That's when you know that you're ready to make the ask. Okay. So now we go into step 4. This is the part that is probably the most important, right? Everything else that you do is leading up to this, and it's important that you do all these things, but you've got to follow through with making the ask. So when you do this, you've got to be specific. Okay. State the exact amount, not a range. Don't slide a handout of gift levels in front of them and say, well, I just want you to figure out where you fit in, um, in terms of that number. You don't want to do that. You want to be specific. You want to state a specific number. Okay. Also, you want to be clear. You want to say exactly what you want to ask. So if you're asking for them to support operations, say that. If you're asking them to support program, say that. Okay. If you're asking them to support facilities, say that. Be very clear, leave no room at all for interpretation. And then you also want to be well scripted. Now, I'm not saying that you write this down and read it, from a piece of paper or a tablet in front of you, but you do want to sort of rehearse it. So I would suggest practice with someone. Okay, if you've got another staff person or a friend or a spouse that you can practice with, do that. Really, really important. Okay. Now, I'm going to sort of model for you. Typically, when I do this, I will do a role play. But let me just show you what an ask sounds like. This is what it should sound like. Okay. So let's assume that I'm soliciting somebody. I already have gone through this process and I'm ready to make the ask. And this is what it would sound like. Okay, and we're just getting together face to face. So let's assume the person's name is John, and I'll go from there. So, hey, John, um, thank you so much for taking time to meet with me at these past couple of months. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the time that you've taken to hear about all the great things that we're doing at camp. I really appreciate that. As you know, and they might say, well, of course, I thank you for your time, and I really appreciate hearing all the great things that are happening at camp as well. So then you would say, as you know, we've been, talking about some of the needs that we have at camp, and especially for our annual fund, right? And so, as you know, we have an annual fund goal of $250,000. And John, what I'd like to know is if you'd be willing to make a gift of $10,000 to support our annual fund. Okay, that's it. All right, and I'm pausing there for a reason, because you want to state it that way, and then you want to be quiet. Okay, make sure you don't say a word after that. Let them be the next one who speaks. Very, very critical. Okay, sometimes, and that's why we rehearse this, because if you don't rehearse it, you're going to be in a situation where you may find yourself saying more than you want to. You may find yourself saying, would like to know if you would give us $10,000 or whatever you can do, right? It's the or whatever you can do that can kill an ask. So make the ask and be as uncomfortable as it will be, and it will be. Just let that sit there, and then they will respond. And so now it's time to be prepared for what their response might be. And there are really only three responses as far as I'm concerned. One is yes, right? So keep your composure, thank them, close the deal, right? Just say thank you very much, and then you work on closing the deal. The next possible answer would be, well, I can't do 10,000, but I can do 7,500, right? If that's what they say, accept their answer, thank them, and close the deal. Okay. So if they say 7,500 and you ask for 10, that's okay. Okay. You got a gift. And then the third possible answer is that they need time to think about it or to confer with their spouse. So thank them for their consideration. And this is really important, folks. Establish the next time that you meet with them. Okay. Got to get that on the calendar right away. Okay. Let me ask you, and also you want to ask the magic question: when would be a good time to follow up? This is really critical, right? Always ask that question: when would be a good time to follow up? And then let them and work out an exact date and time, and then ask for their permission to get it on their calendar. That way, you're not chasing them to get the answer. Okay. All right. So let me ask a question then. We've got these three responses. So what's missing? Put in the chat. What's the response that's missing? I'll give you a couple of seconds here before I can see it. What is missing of these responses? Anybody? Anybody? Yes. Thank you, Robin. No, that's right. The answer, no. And the reason why that's missing is if you do this right and you do this correctly, I guarantee you, you will get one of those three answers and you will get a gift. Okay. It's very, very rare. I have experienced very few no's in 25 plus years of fundraising because I took the time to get to know them. Because if they're continuing to meet with you and they know that you're going to be asking them, then the likelihood is that you're going to get something. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right. Okay. Now, so excited because now it is time for me to introduce you to a real camp director. I'm kind of a, I'm kind of a camp director that's, been out of it for a while, but I want to introduce you to Matt Schick. Matt is the executive director of Cedar Creek Camping Conference Center, which is located in Florida. And Matt's going to come on, and Matt has worked with me, but he's also used Windfall. And so let me bring Matt and myself on the screen. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Mark? Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. First of all, I want to thank you for taking time out of. I know what it's a busy schedule, and yeah, people say, well, it's the Monday before Thanksgiving. How busy can camp be? And for those of you who are not in the camping space, camp is busy all the time, not just in the summer. And so, Matt, thank you so much for taking time to meet with me. Matt, talk a little bit about. So we've heard about Windfall and the wealth screening. Obviously, I've talked about the 4 steps that you need to take to actually secure 5-figure gifts. Matt, now you are using Windfall and you've worked with me as your coach. Talk to me a little bit about where you were before we started working together and how far you've come and where are you now?
Yeah, I think I didn't really have any experience doing fund development. Started as a program director and spent about 10 years there, and just moved into the executive director position right about the time COVID was hitting. So fund development was not necessarily on my radar at the time until you and I kind of had some sessions together. I think the benefit that Windfall had in terms of dovetailing with what you helped me understand about relationship fundraising is really giving me the confidence as somebody who had not done that before to go in with some numbers and some education and not just make a guess, but to make a specific ask, kind of like you chatted with, mentioned earlier, to go in armed with some numbers and have a good sense of what this person might realistically contribute to our mission, and inviting them to do that in a way that felt confident and not scary.
Yeah, yeah. And talk a little bit about how Windfall has helped you, gain an edge on all of this.
I think the net worth data that we have gotten from Windfall has really helped kind of uncover some folks who have previously supported us, but I really had no idea that they were people of means, and they had supported us generously, but they were not major donors, and they were not people that had been approached to make a major gift to camp. I would say the other thing that has been really helpful is understanding sort of the financial situations of some of our camper families. So people who are kind of actively invested in camp and, have experienced all that we have to offer in the past year or 5 years, and really reaching out to them and understanding how to use my time to kind of develop those relationships.
Yeah. And it's interesting what you just said about, not being sure and being maybe even surprised at those folks in your universe that have capacity. I call that the Warren Buffett effect, right? Warren Buffett, if you saw Warren Buffett walking down the street, you would think that he was just a gentleman, going to go sit in a coffee shop with his windbreaker and maybe his button-down blue Oxford, a pair of jeans, and some white New Balance, right? That's the look that he sports. No one would know that he's a billionaire if they didn't know who he was. And most people with capacity take on that posture, right? So what you'll be surprised to know is that those people you think have capacity don't show up on your Windfall data, and the ones that you don't think have capacity are the ones that show up. So that's why it's important to look and know where you're spending your time. So that's great, Matt. So can you give me one example of a big gift that you've gotten because of the Windfall data and the work that we did together?
Yeah, I would think that our greatest success was the family of a camper who's been coming out for the last few years. And, like you said, he didn't arrive on a private jet and land in the field. But having done a Windfall screening of some of our camper families, this family jumped out immediately, and I got to talking to the parents, and came to understand through our meetings and our conversations that the mother of the family had been a camper here, and had kind of reconnected with this place and sending her own son. And we had a few meetings and a few chats, and that turned into a $100,000 gift that kind of came out of the blue.
Wow.
It wasn't something that we were expecting or looking for, but I don't think that I probably would have asked him for $500, not knowing otherwise.
So this is a good example of the capacity and the generosity of folks that can be underestimated, even when how much capacity that they have. That is a wonderful story. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting to invite people into partnering with us in that way, and to be able to do it with confidence.
Yeah, awesome. Matt, thank you so much, for being here. Now, what I'd like to do, I'm going to bring the two guys back for a quick Q&A, but I just want to do a quick check. Has this been valuable to you? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if this has been valuable to you. If you learned something on this webinar. I know we've only been here 40 minutes. My hope is that you took something away. So give me a thumbs up or a yes. All right, I see a couple of thumbs up here. And I have something really cool. I think I mentioned at the beginning that I want to share with you that I know will help you take this to the next level. And I just want your permission. Is it okay if I share that with you right now? Then I'm going to bring the guys back for Q&A. So just give me a thumbs up on that. Who's ready to hear about? Awesome. Awesome. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and hopefully. All right. So, you've been hearing all about how Windfall and that information that you have, and the work that I've done with Matt has been helpful. And so, if you are interested in learning more about relationship fundraising, and you're frustrated with not meeting your fundraising goals year after year, you're hitting your fundraising goals, but you would like to raise much more with fewer events or grants or mailings, or you're overwhelmed with trying to find ways to cut expenses because you don't have enough money, or you're feeling like you're failing, your mission and the people your organization serves. I know what that's like. I've been there, where like I wish we had more money so we could do more and serve more of the people, and so because of that, you want to be in a situation to have a steady funding that will secure hundreds of thousands of dollars each year for your organization. That is possible. A reliable fundraising strategy, which is relationship fundraising, is the most successful. You want to be able to know that you can secure $25,000 from a single donor. Imagine that for operations. Now we're talking about campaign, talking about for operations. You want to be able to overcome any fear and anxiety of asking for money. I know that's a big, big thing that folks face, and that is something that I want to make sure that you're aware of, and I know I'm aware of it, and I'm aware that it's something that most folks deal with, and so that is why I'm here. So imagine how confident you would feel if you knew who the wealthy people are that are right under your nose. So we just talked about Windfall. We just heard from Matt and how helpful that information has been. If you could build meaningful relationships with them that lead to five-figure gifts, without having to cold call strangers, without having to spend months planning another failed fundraising event, and providing one board member. And I know many of us have that one board member, and we all have them, right? Who you didn't believe in you, right? That's always that naysayer at the table. Wouldn't you like to prove that person wrong, right? That one who doesn't believe in this. So let me quickly tell you about a fellow camp director. His name is Jake. Jake is a camp director in Michigan. And he was in a situation, they needed to raise $600,000 in just 5 months. And Jake came to me. Before he came to me, he was trying to write letters, doing online fundraisers, fundraising events, bake sales, not very successful. After he implemented the relationship fundraising method, which I'm going to tell you about, he found donors that were right under his nose, and we were able to help him raise that $600,000. And he only had, again, 5 months. We did it a week, with a week left, and raised 20,000 more than the goal. So $620,000 with a week to spare. And Jake had no relationship fundraising experience at all. Ken, somebody that I still work with, he's a director of development for a wonderful organization in Pennsylvania. And they needed to raise, again, large gifts from individuals. He focused primarily on direct mail and grants to raise money. But after working with me and implementing the relationship fundraising method, he discovered a bunch of wealthy donors. One of them made $1 million commitment over a 2-year period. $1 million. Wouldn't have known about that if he didn't use the wealth screening and didn't employ the program. So I want to introduce you to something I call the Relationship Fundraising Academy. This is the opportunity I want to share with you. You get a lifetime access to curriculum. So there is a curriculum of about 7 modules, a total of 30 trainings that are already there that you can access right away. And you get access to that for a lifetime. We do live weekly group coaching calls. And you also get 4 one-on-one coaching sessions. So not only do you get a group call, but you get 1 coaching session per month with me. And that's an hour-long session. Your board, yes, your board gets to be trained by me. So I offer a board training every month, and your organization would get 1 training, and you would just need to decide on which one you wanted to hop in on. And we will get them in a situation where they understand their role in relationship fundraising. You get access to me between coaching calls. So there is a platform that I use that will allow you to ask any questions in between calls, and I will do my best to turn those answers around within a 24-hour period. There is a committed community of nonprofit leaders that are part of this group already, and you're able to chat in the community page that's there. And what you really also get is you get accountability and a support partner in me and others. This is, tough stuff if you've never done it before. And so it is something that you certainly want to make sure that you have support from me and from those who are in the community. So you probably want to know what it would take to do this. So the value of this offer is $7,500, right? This is for 120 days, four months. That's the value, okay? The regular cost for this is $34.95. You get everything I just talked about for $34.95. That's the regular cost. But because you guys showed up to this webinar, you actually get to hop in this program at the price of $29.57. Okay, that's the Relationship Fundraising Academy 120-day program, and this is for you, specifically for you. And if you want to spread the payments out, that's 4 payments of $776. And so this is a really, really great offer. I think it would be a really good opportunity for you. And so, if you enroll today, you can enroll today for $29.57. Also you can do 4 monthly payments of $776. And I know this is a critical time of year, right? It's November, right? Whether your fiscal year is from July to June, or it's another fiscal year, or it's a calendar fiscal year, most of us are on a calendar fiscal year, you're gearing up for 2024. You want to start getting ready right now so that you're well positioned to be able to secure those big gifts that you get. So we talked about the Wealth Analytics Report and my partnership with Windfall. You get that for free in the program. That's part of the curriculum. But also, if you're in the program and you decide to buy into Windfall and subscribe, you get a 10% discount on that subscription because you're in this program. Okay, so that's another bonus that you're not going to want to pass up. And also, this is awesome. You get 1 additional seat per organization. So if you're an executive director and you've got maybe a program director who may be helpful, or if you want to have a board member join you on this in this program, you get that extra seat, that additional seat at no extra cost. All of that for the $29.57. Okay. Now, the link to this offer is going to appear right after this webinar is over, so stay tuned for that. But I will tell you that this does expire. So because it's the holiday week, I usually do this in a 4-day, 5-day period. But because it's a holiday week, I'm extending the expiration date to Monday, the 27th. That's a week from today at midnight. That's otherwise, if you come in after that, then you're going to come in at the $34.97 price. Okay. All right. So that's my offer. Thank you for hanging in there. And now I want to bring the crew back. Let me get rid of the slides. And now it is time for Q&A. So please put your questions in the comments, and I will be able to show them on the screen. I am going to bring up a question that's already here from James Kelly. James asked, how many meetings before the ask? So there's no set number of meetings before you make an ask. Like I said, when you have nothing else to share and your donor has no more questions, that's when you know you're ready. Now, that could be 3 meetings, could be 5 meetings, could be 2 meetings, right? Some donors want to cut to the chase, and I've worked with folks who'd say, look, I know you're going to ask me for money, let's just get to it. And if somebody asks you, if you're going to ask me for money on the first visit, normally what I say to them is, eventually I'd like to talk to you about giving, but not today, right? And so that's how you sort of squelch that. So James, I hope that's helpful. It really varies, right? This is a very individual. That's why relationship fundraising is so critical. Is that while there is a science to it, there's an art, and this is part of the art, and that's the nuance of working with various individuals. Okay. All right. Other questions that you have? Okay. So Margaret Schaefer. Yes, go ahead.
Mark, if I could just chime in real quick on,
Yep.
I think some of the data that Windfall can provide to help determine when is the right time to make that ask, in addition to kind of our core data point, the net worth of the U.S. Household. And I see a question about, do we provide, I'll just go ahead and address that, do we provide information on Canadian individuals? And unfortunately, we are not in the Canadian marketplace yet. But going back to how we can help determine timing on making the ask, we not only provide data on net worth, but we provide around up to about 50 additional wealth attributes in what we call trigger events. So has somebody recently moved? Have they had a recent liquidity event? Are they giving to other philanthropic causes? Are they a top political donor? So some of these indicators around levels of liquidity and life events can help determine, okay, it's now the right time to strike to make that ask.
Yeah. Awesome. Another question here from Margaret. So she'd love to know how to determine an appropriate number for the ask. So Noah, I'm going to ask you to chime in here because I know there's a formula that you typically at Windfall recommend. So if you could share that, and then I will chime in with some other information that could be helpful.
Yeah, I'd say so. One of the big differentiators about Windfall is that we focus on calculating out the precise net worth of U.S. households rather than kind of returning a broad capacity score or a 1 to 5 star rating, which is really what kind of the legacy wealth screening vendors had done, where they would look at just the face value of real estate assets. Say somebody lives in $1 million home. Maybe they have some data about someone's income, and then they apply kind of a calculation to determine what the capacity of that individual would be. The problem with if you're just looking at the face value of real estate, for example, that can be misleading. That's why we focus on net worth. So we're looking at the asset side of the balance sheet, but we also look at the debt and mortgage side of the balance sheet, which is what gets us to the precise net worth at the end of the day. And then the general rule of thumb is that 1% of net worth is a household's total philanthropic capacity annually. Or sometimes organizations will look at it, in 5-year terms, and then that would be a 5-year person. So the 5% of net worth is a household's total philanthropic capacity over a 5-year period. So that's kind of the general rule of thumb, but every organization is a little bit different in kind of how they come up with that. But that's generally what we see organizations do.
Yeah. Matt, anything you want to offer to that?
No, I would say I am guilty of maybe going a little under that 1%, but I have been pleasantly surprised and heartened to maybe ask for a little more than I otherwise would feel comfortable doing so.
Yeah.
And I would say that 1%, that's the total philanthropic capacity, right? So you're competing for donor wallet share. So that household might be giving to other organizations, and that's where our data about, are they giving to other organizations? Right. What other types of organizations are they giving to? I think factors into, well, what portion, might you be able to ask for? And that's where I think the link and interest plays a key role.
Yeah. And I'll throw a couple more things in here. So in addition to all the data-driven stuff, there's also philanthropic history with your own organization, right? So that can be a real key indicator of how much to ask for. And then to a point that Noah just made about the competition. Now, if we were on this call, which I know we wouldn't be 30, 40 years ago because none of this technology, but nonetheless, let's say we're all in the room and we're having this conversation, would be a different conversation because 30, 40 years ago, when people were getting requests in the mail around this time of year, they were being very equal in terms of distributing, and it was very transactional, right? What I'm talking about is a relational approach. And now, fast forward to now, people are giving, maybe they have 2 or 3 organizations that they are supporting wholeheartedly, and they're not doing anything for anybody else. Maybe nominally $25, may go to an organization, but there's usually 2 or 3 that they focus on. And so you want to be one of those 2 or 3. That's the objective. That's why, this works. Okay. All right. So we got another question from Robin Howard. How many potential donors would you be dating at any given time as director? Who else helps build those relationships beyond the warm handoff? It's a fantastic question. So I think of this question in terms of percentage of time that you should be spending. So I've lived your life. Let me just be clear about that. I was an executive director of a camp and a nonprofit, and I was also a program director. And so I always say, if you can spend about 20% of your time on this relationship fundraising, that would be great. So that's the equivalent. If it's a 5-day week, that's the equivalent of 1 day a week. In terms of the number of people, I would say as an executive director, you can probably handle anywhere from 30 to 50 relationships that you're managing, not at once, right? You're going to stagger those, but you're going to do that throughout the course of 6, 8, 10 months so that you'll have an opportunity to meet and engage with everybody. And so if you get in the program, I could tell you all about how that works, and as you develop these skills of relationship fundraising. All right, so we've got a couple more minutes here. So I think this is Eula is how to pronounce that. How much time would I need to invest in the academy to get results fairly quickly? So new to nonprofit, you would get results pretty quickly. And it's up to you, right? You get in the program, you've got access to all of this content immediately. So you can supercharge your time and one of the first things I suggest that you do is the Wealth Analytics Report. So imagine knowing the capacity of the folks that you have, that are right under your nose. Then you can begin the process. So you don't have to work through every training before you can start. That's what I'm here for, is for you to get started right away and help you along the way. So you can start as soon as you are ready. And my objective is for you to be able to do that as soon as possible. Okay, got a question here from Hawk Siver. As a camp, do you see large amounts of giving coming from parents or current campers, or more of the past campers? Matt, I'm going to let you answer that question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say historically for us, it has been past campers, but that's something that I've been working to change over the last maybe 2 years, especially as we've kind of returned to more normal operations post-COVID. Because for me, it makes more sense to chat with the parents of current campers. It's easier to tell the story. It's more real for them. And those are folks who feel like they're making a tangible impact, kind of in the moment. It's not just, this was a great experience for my kids and I want it to carry on. I mean, there is a bit of that. But it's really easy for them to think of, okay, I'm going to make this gift and my kid's going to see that this summer. This person's experience will be better because of my support.
Yeah. No, that's great. It is, having been in that space, especially, you may have a triple whammy, right? You can have a parent who is a past camper and a past staff person, right? I probably fall in that category too. And so the more affinity, more constituency tags, the more likely they're going to want to give. And if you can match that with capacity, then that's fantastic. Well, listen, it is 1 o'clock. I want to say thank you to every single person that has logged on today. I truly, truly appreciate your time. I want to especially thank Noah Simon from Windfall. Thank you so much for being here and sharing all of your knowledge. And Matt, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend with us and talk about how relationship fundraising has had an impact on your site. Truly, truly appreciate it. Again, thank you all for being here. You're going to hear more about some of the things that we talked about in terms of the offer. But in the meantime, thank you all very much. And for those of you who celebrate, have a fantastic Thanksgiving. And we hope to see you again soon. Take care.